for you.
Really? All right.
All right. Good morning. Excuse me. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you may be. You are back. We are Old Guys Still Rock. This is episode number 28. And I am Blair Armstrong, and I'm located in beautiful Indian Wells, California. If you have not seen us before, some of you follow both sides of me. So we have a Team Armstrong page, which we talk about community stuff. This page is dedicated on self-improvement, pursuing excellence, laying out different types of foundations that may have already been set, but helping you get better, or if you've already been better, is helping that younger generation get better. So here we are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let me do some quick introductions. We are on a multiple screen here, so I don't know where they're going to be set up. So wherever it is set, in the upper channel, what I see on here, I have Brent Wright, who's been a good friend of mine. He's also the co-founder of Old Guys Still Rock. Below me, Jake Fisher. Jake Fisher is an up-and-coming entrepreneur. He's made some big moves over the last couple months. And then underneath Brent, the way that it looks like to me, is Doug Fisher, the owner of Fisher and Sons Construction. And we're going to get into the weeds of this, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Brent. Brent, go ahead and let us know who you are for the people who haven't seen, who have not seen us before, and go from there.
I'm going to go down my similar path that I always do. I am Brent Wright. I like long walks on the beach. Don't swipe right, please. I am married. Like the grass. So, anyways, so I've been in business for a long time, buy and sell businesses and build them, and I really enjoy the process. That's really where the magic happens for me. I like to move on quickly. I like the M&A field. That definitely drives me, keeps me entertained. In a long-term project now, and we just started our 10th business, active business. So my wife's wellness center, which will be soft opening in the next couple of weeks and a hard opening first week of January. So got 2 young kids, 7-year-old, 9-year-old, and active in the school. In fact, my father-in-law is playing Santa currently. My pastor is playing Buddy the Elf, and I'm missing it to be on this podcast.
Oh, man, we appreciate you there, brother.
I have many games at the school. I'm the board president and CEO of a private Christian school here in Eugene. We're servicing 254 kids and 160-ish, 170 families. So that is something that I'm super passionate about. I don't consider that one of my businesses. That's my passion, to help build a community for my kids and add layers to their lives that I never received growing up. So
beautiful. Well, let's get into it. Doug and Jake, welcome. Fisher and Son Construction. Doug, let's just start with you, and Jake, you can kind of fill in where he wants to. But guys, we have a multi-generational business that is forming in front of our eyes right here. Doug and Jake are in Orange County. Jake, are you in Orange County or in San Diego?
Yeah, I'm in Orange County.
Orange County, okay.
In Clemente.
Were you ever in San Diego? That was...
I went to school in San Diego.
That's
so
what it was.
I was there for 3-ish years.
Okay. So anyway, Doug has been in the construction business for many years. We picked this storyline for the reason of this. Doug thought, okay, at the end of my career, we're just going to go wrap it up. His kids are going to go off and do things, and I would call an act of God, some things happened over the last couple of months, and Jake wanted to jump on board and help continue this career that Doug has so diligently put together over many years, supplied a great life for his family, and for a lot of other people as well. I mean, you have subs out there that you've created a great lifestyle for, and here comes Jake up, your firstborn, coming up behind you, building up some stuff. So let's start with this. How did it start that Jake kind of started sniffing around and asking you questions as you thought that, gosh darn, this Jake might come on to work here sooner or later.
Actually, I have to say pain of him not
Yeah.
being happy where he was and wanting
Okay.
it changed.
Okay.
I named Fisher and Sons Construction that, I don't know, 15 years ago.
Wow.
I didn't really think, I didn't know. I just put Fisher and Sons Construction and I liked the sound of it. I didn't know if the boys were going to get involved or not. Jeb, our youngest of three, was probably the most involved because when I got started, he was only 6 and he had no choice but to go with me before school and after school and run to inspections and do all that. So I thought he would be the most likely to take it up, and he's still interested. And it's funny because he thinks more like a business guy instead of like the laborer guy.
Right.
And actually, I've tried to teach them all how to think like that, and they all have. But you said I diligently put a career together. I don't know about that. I feel like it's been bumps and bruises and all of it, picking yourself up constantly,
Right.
just marching on. And you're right, I was kind of like sailing into the sunset a little bit, and then all of a sudden I got Jake just saying on a Friday, I quit, I'm working for you now. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And every day has been better, and we've done more than I could have possibly imagined as quick as in a very quick manner, which has been awesome. But Jake's not like your typical 26-year-old kid. He's more like an old soul. It's more like a 60-year-old man. I mean, sometimes he has to do more of the parenting because
Right.
and yeah, it's not true. It's true. He has
Well,
to keep a handle on me.
Jacob, what was going back to this? There's a bigger story behind this, but it's like, so you made a good move. You went to school, got a great degree, had a pretty, I mean, if on paper, now obviously being in there is two different things, but on paper, you had a good job as a financial consultant, right?
Yeah, I worked in commercial finance, so we
Okay.
would basically just call on businesses and try to sell financing, primarily equipment, in all the different industries. So yeah, it's a very lucrative career. It's difficult, and you have to be comfortable talking with wealthy business owners. But after doing that for a few years, I got pretty comfortable talking with those types of people. I realized that they're not very, I mean, most of them have like Harvard MBAs and stuff, but other than that, they're not that different than me, despite they're just older.
Right.
But they're just people. If you show them respect, they'll show you respect. And if you have something that they need, or maybe you sell them something that they don't think that they need. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, I felt comfortable with it. But I also was like, well, if these guys can build these big businesses, why can't I? And I feel like every single story of a business like that starts with some kind of a leap of faith. And I just decided I was fed up and tired of making other people money, tired of being told that I have to work these hours, and I loved just the idea of Doug just being able to control his own schedule and not having to report to anyone. If he wanted to golf on a Friday, no one's going to tell him that he can't. But oftentimes it also requires him to work on Saturdays. So like, I don't care what the hours are. I just don't want to have to tell people what I'm doing, basically. But yeah, I decided to take a leap of faith when my wife was 8 months pregnant. So
I was glad waiting for you to get into that part.
I mean, there was times that, just when I was in the finance space where you're not making a lot until
Right.
it's all commissions. So there were for sure months where we had to rely on her to pay our rent for a while. So she's definitely helped out a lot. And so now,
I'm glad you shared that, brother, because that's such a big piece right there. Is here you are, a couple of years out of college, freshly married over a couple of years, going into your first child. most of us, and a lot of us, even an older generation are coming up there, it's like, even to have that mindset, like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just become an entrepreneur with a baby coming in a month. To have a supportive wife as you did, to like, yeah, okay, well, that's a good thing. Obviously, you had a plan, like, hey, I'm leaving this, but this is what we're going to do. You weren't going in blind.
Yeah.
But going back to this, and I want to go back, what was the attraction to your dad's business? What do you like? You saw him working, obviously, over many different years. What did you think that you could bring to the table to make that business the same, but realistically, knowing you, and people will get to know you more as we're through this podcast, but looking at him like, okay, he's really good here, but I can make it better here. What was that light switch that went on for you?
Well, everyone loves him. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
everyone that works for him has like a crazy amount of respect for him. He treats everyone great. Every customer, I've never heard a customer talk bad about him, because even if something doesn't go as planned, he makes up for it, somewhere else. And so, he's got the experience, so he's just got this great foundation that you can, I was in sales, so you could sell that foundation. And I mean, there's so many different, sub industries within the construction. So yeah, we're in construction, but like, it doesn't mean that you just have to be in, doing remodels and stuff. Like, you can utilize that construction license and go subcontract these big jobs, which I also just learned just from, I don't know, podcasts and reading stuff, that most of these big construction companies, these billion-dollar construction companies that I used to sell to, they're not really doing the work most of the time. They're finding other companies to do the work. And so, like, why can't we do that? You're just, it's a lot of the same of what I was doing in the finance space.
Yeah. I want to add to that. The magic of that, and I was talking about how it's our what's happened with Fisher & Sons Construction so quickly is we discovered that where we work now, we flip units for an elderly facility in Aliso Viejo, and then up in Palos Verdes too. They have another property, so we're trying to scale that up. To because we do love working on the ground floor. I love it. I was on my hands and knees cutting in paint lines yesterday, wiring up lights, plumbing, all of it with the guys. I like that. But Jake found a need for the capital expenditure space, because that's what he was selling to, CapEx projects. And so then the facility we were working at had all these CapEx needs. So we went through all their needs, and they're big ticket items. And then we just got all the subs that we knew. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I know everybody. I have them on my phone. I was like, hey, let's call this guy. Let's call this guy. Let's get bids. Let's push them through. Let's find out their exact needs. Let's go for it. And already we got traction. 4 months in, 5 months in,
That's
we've already
amazing.
started some big projects with the horizon looks good.
Yeah.
And we're just getting the best people to do the work. So basically, our motto is make their job easier. Like, how can we help them make their job easier so they don't have to think about these things? I owned buildings. I used to do the maintenance on them. I used to do everything with the buildings. And there's a need. There's just a need, because you can't know everything. And through the years, I've learned a ton. And that's that you don't know everything. So you got to hire the right guy to do it. So Jake finds the need, then I'll find this. Then we'll find the sub, and then we kind of get together and figure out what the best plan for everybody is. And it's been working.
That's awesome. Brent and I, excuse me, boy, oh boy, I got frogs in my throat. Brent, I watched these two, and maybe you're seeing this because, again, for those of you who don't know, Brent and I have been friends for, gosh darn, almost 25 years now. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, Brent has a savant son named Lincoln. And when I watch Doug and Jake talking back and forth, I go back to knowing how your life is with Lincoln. I see a lot of you and Lincoln and Doug and Jake, right? Well, just because of the way that, the things that you instill. I know that Doug instilled a lot of things in Jake, and there's a lot of things that, Jake picked up probably throughout the years that Doug never knew about. And I'm sure that there's a lot of things that you are instilling to Lincoln that you don't even know what the ripple effect is going to be.
Yeah, although I don't want to wish my life away, if I could look into the future and see Lincoln at Jake's age, I'd be intrigued to see where that lands. This is a bit of an insight. I'm excited for it. Again, although I don't want to wish my life away, I only have so many summers left, right?
Right.
But I am excited for that chapter to get to where, I'm not certain that Lincoln will want to take over my businesses or anything. I mean, I can hope that he would. I can also selfishly hope that he doesn't, because I want to see him grow and prosper bigger than I am and do different things, right? So, but it is a little bit of an insight. When Jake was talking earlier, I went to Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. It's burn the boat, so you don't have any options, right? And so I don't know if you've ever read that, but it's kind of feels a little Napoleon Hill-ish, like like you did just, she's 8 months pregnant. Your life's going to change.
Yeah.
Why not make a big change, right? burn the boats and let's see what happens next. And by the way, what did you have for a child? Did you have a
boy
or a girl?
A boy.
Oh, very
so
cool. And
could be the
what's
next
the
generation of Fisher and Sons.
Yeah. What's the boy's name?
Brooks.
Ah, very cool. I see it in the background.
There you go.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, my office / his room that he doesn't sleep in.
We're gonna put him in
burn
the
the
trade program right
boats.
away.
I told the president of our company on the exit interview that I was burning the boats. I didn't want to burn the relationship with them, but
not the bridge, but the boat.
Yeah, they made us read Think and Grow Rich, so maybe it's their fault that they inspired me to.
Did they really make you read that?
Well, my manager did.
No kidding.
I had read it before, but yeah, it's just
That's
good,
awesome. That's good to hear.
Reminder.
Yeah. And I say, hey, I'm going to tie this back into it, and then we're going to keep going to this conversation. But we've been talking about this on these last 27 episodes. It's always, what are you doing to instill that wisdom not only into the younger generation, but to the older generation as well? So what we have here is Doug and Brent instilling into their sons just work ethic, how to do things, what freedom looks like, what nice looks like in business. And now we see this, and I'm sure Brent could say the same thing about Lincoln, but now we see Jake instilling wisdom into Doug. And Doug and I have had some super conversations. And Doug, I think I would like you to take this from here. And then Brent, I want to kind of have you fill in what Lincoln's instilled in you. But getting this wisdom is almost like when I have conversations with Doug about this, having this wisdom that's instilled for you has rejuvenated your passion for this business that you thought, give me a couple more years and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sell the truck and I'm going to sell the tools and walk away. What is that wisdom that you never thought that you got that just like, oh my gosh, I'm back in. I feel like I'm 25, or maybe that's not the age or whatever it is. I'm young again and really want to get after this.
It's a good question. I have a lot of different feelings that went through when you were talking about it, because immediately it was, holy cow. Now he's back on my payroll, and how are we going to make this work? Because I don't really take money. I have my financial situation is interesting. So it's not like I just like Doug Fisher gets paid every 2 weeks. I don't do things like that. Yeah.
Right.
But for Jake, we had to set that up. So that was one emotion that went through. And then the other one went through when I realized I was getting rid of the part of the business that I didn't like. That really freed me up like a balloon. And I feel like I've got energy for days, even though, I burn hot. So my days consist of 2 days. I go hard, and then I take a 25-minute nap, reboot, and then I go hard again. That's just how I do it. And I literally just bonk like a puppy just got it had too much milk. But but anyway, it's kind of like I said, it's like now I'm free to do what I want to do, and mostly what I want to do is work, and I want to build this now. Now I've got like some fire. I don't know. It's a great question. It's almost like he threw a new log on the fire for me.
That's
sure.
good though, and I think that's what's needed, right? Because I think some of it, and Brent and we always go back to the episodes. So for you guys, if you've not seen our past episodes, go back and see this, because there's a common thread through just what we're talking about here. Is what we're talking about is, there's not really a number of how long you can work anymore. I know that we have multiple summer or minimal summers left over for when we get season in life. But just because we're 55 or 60 doesn't mean that you can't still have a passion to run something to 75, 80, 85. And maybe that's not where Doug's journey is going to lead him. But the point of it is like he was ready to shut it down and go do different life. I mean, kids are pretty much out of the house. And here comes this son that probably, as what Doug said earlier, that this wasn't, he was the last one the last one you expected to kind of come into this fruition, and how it came in. It is great. So I want to turn to Brent, and then I'm going to come back to Jake on here. Is this Brent? You have put some time in, brother, and built multiple businesses and stuff like this. Realistically, we've said this before. You do not need to be sitting in that office that you're sitting in right now. Correct?
That's probably pretty correct.
I mean,
although
regardless
I feel a magnetic draw here every day for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, but you. And I say this more on the financial side to it. You've done very well for yourself. You have put together a nice nest egg, and I know you take different businesses, so sometimes the bank account's a little bit less than you want it to be. It's a roller coaster, right? But you have that. So let's go back to this, since we're on a father-son thing, and I know that your daughter does a lot of this well, and so does your wife, but since we're on this father-son topic, what is some of the stuff that Lincoln has instilled in you that, or unleashed a power inside of you that you didn't think that you had?
I have two stories for you, and I've told one on here before. So 2 summers ago, he was 5, and I was mowing the lawn. And we had just put this lawn in, and it's kind of on a theater. I made it to where it's like theater seating. We have a big movie screen that we put up, and we project movies on it, and you sit on the lawn, and it's kind of theater seating, so nobody's head's blocking anybody's head. So it's real easy to mow down, but it's not so easy to mow back up. And I'm doing it by hand. And he comes into me, and he stops me, and he says, "Hey, after you're done mowing the lawn, you think you want to play ball with me? Since the lawn will be freshly mowed, it'll be super cool." And I'm like, "Well, we'll see, buddy. I might have to take a little break. We'll play ball for sure, but I might have to take a little bit of break because my back's going to hurt afterwards." And he goes, "Every time you mow the lawn, your back hurts, and then you can't play with me. He goes, why don't you hire somebody to do that? And then you can play with me." That kicked my tail.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine Jake being a new dad. Like, if your 5-year-old came to you and told you that'd just kind of kick your tail, wouldn't it? And the other one was last night. He's horrible at cleaning his room, and he can't ever find anything, and he doesn't like any of his toys anymore because he can't find anything. And so I said, well, I had a little bit of an epiphany while I was thinking about this yesterday. And he said, "Oh yeah, what's that?" And I said, "Your sister loves to clean. Why don't you hire your sister to clean your room? And then you can go outside and do some chores and make money. And that way you solve 2 problems. You put money in your pocket. You do something you like because he really likes to do it. He really likes to get on the excavator, the skid steer. He likes to do construction. He likes to chop wood, all of that stuff." And so I'm like, why don't you do that? And he goes, first thing he went to was scarcity mindset, because I don't care how young or how old you are, the first thing that you do when somebody tries to cost you money is go to scarcity mindset.
That's weird.
He's like, "I have $23 in my piggy bank. that's going to take all my money. I'm like, yeah, but you'll have a problem solved. And he's like, how much can I make if I go outside and work for you? I'm like, if you work 2 days this weekend, you can make $40. He said, so I'm going to give her half my money. I'm like, yeah, but you get something done that you don't like and you're not good at. And he's like, you're right, I hate that. I'll pay somebody to do that. And he goes, and then he turns to her and says, will you do it for 15?
Did she say yes?
She did, but he was negotiating with her, trying to get me to tell him how to win the prize, right? And then he turns around and negotiates with his sister. So those are just two prime examples where he's taking something that I'm giving him, and then he runs with it like farther than I could have ever thought.
That's awesome.
When I was kid.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
surprised he knows the word epiphany at 5 years old. I'm impressed by that.
You got to follow his page, Doug and Jake. I mean, it's impressive to watch of how he instills his family, and to go back and listen to some of these episodes. But
we pay our kids to read, and we challenge them. So, like, they have these levels at their school, and my daughter is reading at a high school level at her school, and she's in 4th grade. And like, she's read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Wow.
And she's 9.
That's incredible.
They're a different level, and it's awesome to watch. And that's saying that everybody could do it. It's just a mindset, right? I mean, it's the same thing that we're all on here talking about. It's a mindset. Jake had a mindset. I wanted a better life for my family. I want some freedom. I want to be able to go to soccer games when Brooks gets older, those type of things. I'm sure that were in his mind. Do I get tied down to corporate and know that I have a guaranteed pay? Well, not a guaranteed paycheck, because you're going to work for commissions, but you kind of know what you're going to make by the amount of work you're now. Now I have this immense amount of freedom that we all look for. Now, it's not for everybody. Entrepreneurship is a bear. And I'm sure that if Doug showed you all the scars, and Brent and I showed you all of our scars, there's a lot. And that's where I want to lead into this next question, because before that we got on today, Doug, you were kind of explaining that you went on this walk, or talk with Jake, and really shared some stuff that you basically put in your silo and that he didn't know about. Why why these questions are leading at us. So share that with us, and then Jake, fill in when he's done with that. Fill in with, like, when you heard all that stuff, was it a shock to you? Or was like, yeah, I already knew that. So go ahead, Doug, and kind of share how that conversation came up, and how that basically changed your relationship with Jake.
Well, I want to back up just a little bit and talk about the freedom, because that was the one thing I always had with my dad. He was always he was always my coach. He was always at my soccer practice. And then when my parents got divorced, he wasn't there. This is in high school. And it was scarce when could be there, because he was traveling all the time. And I just remember one time looking across, and he was in his business suit, and he came to see the game at 3 o'clock, and I was like, I want to be able to do what I want to do. And I've always had that attitude, just because I want to be able to raise my sons. I always got to be the coach. I always got to take them to school. If I had to pick them up from school, I wanted that. But I always wanted to work too. But I was lucky enough in my late 20s, I borrowed a chunk of money and bought a couple buildings that were in foreclosure, immediately reinstated the leases, and immediately banked a lot of money. And I took that, and then I rolled it into other buildings, and I just kept doing that for about 10 years. And then I was bored. And so you got to have a purpose, and we'll circle back to that. But I just had almost too much time on my hands. So I got kind of risky and started doing some development. And I bought a couple condos and duplexes in Newport, and I had one for each boy. I was like, that's the plan. And then I started a development project down there. That was the beginning of the end. Gas went to $5 a gallon. Tenants started bailing, like leaving the buildings that I had. I couldn't lease anything up, and it just went all bad. It was all great, and it was all bad. And I just, not when you're going through something bad, you don't really feel it until it's like dropping a pond, a rock in the pond or something, and you see the waves. You don't really feel it. You get an initial punch and you have that scarcity feeling that Brent was talking about, immediately, like, what's going to happen? And I just hunkered down, and that was a long, hard, cold winter, that 2008, and so when it started to come back, Jake could share my excitement when I started flipping houses. I remember showing him my new business card 1,000 times. It's like, stop showing me this business card. But I was like, I got something new to do. I'm gonna flip houses, and I loved it. I mean, I just loved it. I loved it. I'm a real creative guy. I liked all that. I hated all the receipts. I'm the artist guy. I'm the front of the house, and so anyway, back to the story. I shared that with Jake. I mean, I shared stuff with Jake that I've never even shared with his mom, because his mom didn't really, and still my wife, I love her to death. She's, right. She never really participated in the really good. Like, she never got too excited when it was really good. So I stopped kind of giving her the details of that. And then when it went really bad, I was like, what's the point of bringing 2 people down instead of 1? Why don't I just take this on and deal with it myself? And just through hard work and just continuously, like, at the beginning of the construction, I lost a lot of money doing that too, because I didn't know how to charge, and then fast forward to where Jake is, and he's like, you undervalue yourself. We're going to charge with your work. And I don't look at it like that. I just look at it, I almost have like a giving, like, I'll just do it for free. But he's like, no, I got the kid to raise. We're going to make money on this. So he handles all that stuff. But anyway, I shared everything with him, and he was like, wow, that was a lot. But we didn't really notice the difference. That's good. I mean, I'm very thankful for that, because some dudes will take it hard, or they'll get in the bottle, or they'll do something. But I had no choice. I had 3 young boys I had to fight.
Doug, and I want to go back to something, because you said something back about a minute ago, and if you want to go back and hear this, but I'm going to go and recap it. You got to a point that you stopped sharing, because, like, I'm already down. Why do I need to bring my wife down? Why do we need to bring my kids down? And that is a major, major problem, what's going on with the society today. And so, Jake, if you can take anything out of this, I want to kind of hear what your dad said on this, is that, and that's what we've been really, Brent and I have been really coaching about, is for us as men, as we internalize, and maybe, Jake, that you have this, and you already, if you have this in you, I hope that you share this with all your friends and stuff like that. But communication is a big key, because there's probably a pretty big ripple effect, I'm guessing, Doug, for you harboring that stuff inside and internalizing it. And even though that people really didn't know what was going on, you not admitted, but you basically gave out probably some type of vibe that made some life changes in you, I'm guessing. I mean, it's not fun to lose, and when you have everything and it crashes and goes away and you're trying to internalize it, the point I'm trying to make is us as men need to be better at kind of like getting that out, so it doesn't become a cancer inside of us, and maybe not only kill a business, but kill a family structure, kill a marriage, kill a relationship, whatever that is. So that golden nugget for you, Jake, is when ish is going to get bad in the construction world, it's just going to happen sooner or later in the business. We have to embrace that there's going to be a point in time that there's going to be a downtrodden of business. I hope that you heard what your dad said and talk about it. And I think that you and Anna have a pretty good relationship and can communicate. Obviously, if you're going to jump ship when 8 months pregnant, there's some great communication in there. Brent shares that with his wife. Doug, we're being out here. You have shared with me that this, even Jake coming onto it, has changed the dynamic of your marriage and had Shannon understand a lot of different things that she did not normally know, and now is more involved than ever and never giving you a more breath of life. So it just, this beautiful thing that's happening between Jake and Doug and Brent and April, and even for me with Chrissy and her business. So some awesome stuff. But I want to go back, and I'm sorry to say that. So that was a really long soapbox. What was the what was that moment that like, I can't internalize this anymore, I got to get it out? Did you share it with somebody? Was it shared with Shannon? Or did you share it with one of the guys? What finally got it out to just to get rid of it so it didn't fester in you?
Well, it's still a process. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still a process. Like I said, I had three duplexes in Newport Beach, one for each boy. That should, if everything went the way it was supposed to go, this would not be an issue. And they all are now paying rent, and it's just that bothers me daily. Every month bothers me because it bums me out. They should be saving their money or renting from me at a rate, but I was going to teach them how to run their own buildings, this is like each thing was going to run its show them money in, money out, depreciation, you got deferred maintenance, you got all these things, but it just didn't work out. But I'm not done. I mean, there's still time for that. And that's what we're doing now. That's what Jake and I are kind of working on now. Yes, our goal is to help people's job be easier and do these things, but our goal is to own more real estate because we like to travel and we have a property out there. We're going to trade that probably and do something else. We got a property in Washington that we have some that it's in our family that we have some big ideas on what we can do. So it's much more than just like the energy, like the excitement is. I haven't been this reinvigorated in a long time, and I remember Jake was trying to take my temperature early on, like, how are you doing with this? Because he came on right when I was remodeling my own house, which was the toughest thing of ever, and then he just quickly became a marriage counselor, which is good for the construction business because you got to know that. But God, I don't know where I was going. What was my point?
That was good. Jake, have you seen changes in the way that your thought process is from what your dad shared with you, or have you seen a change in your dad with the things that you shared with him?
Well, I also want to I feel like I had like a few comments that I wanted to make, like when you're telling the story. I mean, obviously, I've heard the story of, obviously he had buildings and then he lost them. And, despite all that, I mean, I still, I was, I don't know, 10 or 11. So, like, you still know stuff at that point. Like, you can't remember it fully, but I remember one summer we didn't live in our house. We lived at, the beach for a summer, which we're obviously very lucky about. I'm like, oh, this is the best thing ever. But, and then we moved, but like, despite all that, I mean, he was still coaching every sports team I played on. He's still like, I don't remember anything different. So, I mean, whether or not it's great that he like kept it inside, like, I think that's better than freaking out your family and like having your kids stress out that, we don't have money or, because you don't understand it as a kid. I mean, I used to think you just go to the bank and they give you money. Like, not that you have money in the bank. But I also think like it's inspiring too, and he didn't bring it up, but I remember like he would tell me, when I lost everything, all I could really do was just like turn to the Bible, and I just read to the Bible, cover to cover. Like, that's pretty cool in my opinion. And, he went through tough times, but he's still like the happiest guy I know. And he still is like more popular than me in high school. Like all the, football players and cool guys liked him like better than me. So I'm like, okay, cool. I have a cool dad. So I don't remember what your question was, but
no, you're going the right way. Is what impact did it have to you? And I do want to say something, and I'm glad that you corrected me on this. Is that yes, he didn't share it with you, and I guess the point that I was trying to make on that, keeping it internalized, is find somebody to talk to, because
for sure
Doug is special on that. Yes, he didn't think, then he persevered through that part. The point that a lot of us guys at our age go through is that we internalize it so much it becomes a detriment. So find some sort of release, and maybe Doug's release for you, which you just actually corrected me on and showed Brent and I this the same way, is Doug's way to correcting his bad mood was to go back and embrace you guys and coach you kids, and invest into you. And so that was his what I'm hearing from you, Jake, is that that's how he got rid of all the yuckiness. Like, dude, it sucks right now, but I cannot abandon my kids, and we're just going to go ahead and make this better.
Yeah,
So
shows what's important to him, which is
shows what's
his
important.
kids and spending time with them, which is that's. I mean, yeah, I left a high-paying job, but you know, and yeah, it was to start this business, but it was primarily because I wanted the freedom to be able to raise my son and be there for him, and I wouldn't be able to if I had to be in an office all day, every day.
And your story, like what you just did for this, and when Brooks gets old enough, and just the same thing that Brent explains to Lincoln, you know, at an early age and stuff like this, is now you get to have that story with Brooks and share those different things. And when Brooks is going through some hard times, maybe through school or high school or sports or whatever, you can use experiences from you leaving your business at a time that you thought that it's going to be a rough ride. So it's been very cool, man. I really like this episode because there's so much, and going back to, and we've talked about this so much over the last couple of months, is that we feel like there's nothing that we can instill into our kids, or maybe a younger employee or somebody who's in our life that may be younger. But the better yet is really tapping into this younger generation and having them instill stuff into you that you forgot that you had or didn't know that you have. Watching the joy on Doug's face, and my wife and Doug and his wife have been friends for, gosh darn, what, 40 years?
40 years.
Yeah, right? And so I'm coming into this relationship, learning on this stuff, but it is powerful to watch. And Jake has said this, right? There's not a lot of people, and actually I would say there's no one, because I don't know anybody that one, but there is a presence around Doug that's special. If there's a good time to be had, or even if you're having a bad time, if Doug comes into your life, it's going to turn into a sunshiny day. He makes my golf game better. I tell you that. I've had the lowest scores when I golf with Doug because we're just having fun, man. So it's cool. So that's a point that, Brent and I, and I know Brent wants to fill some stuff in here real quick, but that's the point we're trying to make, is just because someone's younger doesn't mean that they can't change your life for the better, or untap something that you thought that was lost or not in there. So, and I think that Brent sees that a lot, and I've seen a massive change in Brent over the last 8 years. To get Brent on doing something like we're doing here over the last couple of weeks, like, hell no, I'm gonna live in my silo, I'm gonna do my work, and screw you guys and good luck. And now his outreach from building out a church, building out a wellness center to help people to become more healthy, is not only, he's giving back to everything that he's been given. And I think Lincoln has really untapped a lot of that for you. Is that correct, me saying that, Brent?
Yeah, so Blair affectionately used to call me the silent but deadly guy.
Yeah.
You never knew what Brent was going to do. You just knew it was going to be something, and you wouldn't hear about it until after it happened, typically. So, we met in BNI, and in fact, Blair challenged me. He said he wouldn't do business with me unless I came to his BNI group. So that's how that started. But I used to sit in BNI, and I'd sit there all year long and do business and do business and do business, and then all of a sudden I'd turn in all my numbers for the year, and Blair's like, "Did you really do like 1.2 million in BNI this year?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Nobody knows, nobody sees it, right?" And so I would tell you, if I could give you one piece of advice, Doug and Jake both, is to get vocal and to tell people your story, and to share with them, and to show them, not just by example. My wife helps me with this often. I'm a big show you how much I love you kind of a person, and she's a big I need to be told how much you love me kind of a person. And we try to find a balance with that, because I'm not really good at one, and I'm really good at the other. So I'll let you pick which one. But I would tell you to tell your story, to share your story, to become more vocal, become more active in your church, in your community. I don't know what you and your wife have decided, Jake, but raise your child up in the church and to give them that backdrop. I didn't have that, and it was difficult to not have a reason to live and not have a reason to succeed and not have a reason to grow and not have a reason to prosper and all those things. I just didn't have a backdrop for the reasons why I was doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference that I've instilled with my son and my daughter and my wife. And I've changed and become a better leader and a better man because of their presence. And if I could give you a piece of advice, old guy to a young guy, is to do that. So,
Yeah. Jacob, what say? I mean, I know you more than Anna, but I think Anna's been a pretty big inspiration in your life. But there's obviously a reason why you married her
Sure.
and dated for so many years. I mean, and the best part of it, but Brent, you don't know this, but a good chunk of Jake and Anna's relationship were in two different states.
oh, wow.
And she was over TCU, right?
Yeah, TCU.
Yeah. And you're over in San Diego, and to keep a relationship alive, that had to be some work.
For sure. Yeah, it definitely took intentional effort.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably easier nowadays that you can FaceTime every day, but yeah, I mean, definitely not easy. Only seeing each other maybe once a month or every other month, which is still, a decent amount for long distance, but it definitely, took some effort, but I think in the end made us stronger.
Yeah. I see a lot of that. I think there's a lot of things that will come up in life that would be challenges, and you guys have answered so many different challenges. So this is just me watching from afar, and then living vicariously through Doug for the stories that he tells me. But just watching you guys from afar is, I know how much time that you put in making your relationship work, and that's super inspiring for even us old guys that sit on the show, is because we don't see that a lot anymore. In your generation, it's just very easy to walk away for things, or when things get shitty, you just you shut it down. You and Anna stood a big test. I mean, two kids in college going some different ways. There's a lot of decisions going to have made life a lot different. So you are, and I want you to hear. Actually, I hope that you hear me when I say this. I don't want you to hear me. I hope you hear me say this. You have a really good story, and I think Brent was kind of saying the same thing that I want to say to you, is you have a really good story, and I think that you emulate a lifestyle that a lot of us wish we had when we were younger, and I think that you have a really good story that you could emulate for the people that are surrounding you at your age. Not just you, Jake. I mean, just you and Anna in general, and your family, of how you have come through and made decisions to make your life better and not settle for just being mediocre. It's awesome to watch, brother, and I'm super proud of you. I know your dad stoked for you, man, and it's some cool things, and I think your siblings will see the same thing too. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So. Sorry for that. Actually, I'm not sorry for the soapbox. You're doing one hell of a job, brother. Just keep it up and
Thank you.
And help us out, man.
Thank you.
So, all right, guys. I think that unless everybody has something into it, there's a lot of good stuff in here, guys. And everyone that's tuned into Old Guys Still Rock, if you haven't seen some episodes, go back and tune this. But there's some good stuff in here, and I hope that you watch this a couple times, because this is what necessary for us to get better. Is we've talked about it. There's no white horses coming in to save us, but investing into younger generations and younger generations into older generations is going to be the absolute key for this new world that we're coming into. And we all know it, and it's some good stuff in here. A lot of peel back the onions here. I would like to have. I know how, Doug. Let me ask you this: how long is this new partnership been going? I mean, are we a year in? Are we 5 months in? Are we 6 months in?
5 months. 5 months.
5 months.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I went into business with my mom when I had Jake. He was 6 months when we started our business and bought a house, and so that's one funny thing. The other thing I wanted to tell you is, and we talked about this on the via text message, where you're passing wisdom up and passing it down. I haven't stopped thinking about it, and I'm sorry I didn't reply to that text message, but I haven't stopped thinking about it. You were talking about who did I go to when things were really going bad? I went to my dad. Like, he had nothing in it. He had nothing in it. He had no skin in the game. He had nothing other than just a heart for me. And he just saw the pain and just kept hugging me. It was like, pain's part of life, son. You just gotta just get back up there and do it. You know you can. Everyone knows you can. You can. And so we did.
That's awesome.
There we are. Like,
and that spilled down to Jake, and it spilled down to Jack and Cheb, and now, you know, and the great thing about this too is not only is Brooks has got two great heads of wisdom. He's got Papa Doug. I don't know if that's what's your, are you Grandpa Doug or are you Papa Doug, or we haven't come up with that yet?
Probably just gonna be Doug if I know.
Everybody else calls you Doug.
Everyone else calls me Doug. Yeah.
So, but you got some great wisdom in there. And too, is, you know, now you're part of the Old Guys Still Rock family. We want to hear your successes. We also want you to share your losses with us, so it's inspiring to others. So, Brent, any final words from you, my brother?
I would tell you, like I always say, just go make a damn difference. It does make a difference, I promise you.
Proud of you guys, man. I'm super proud of you guys, and I hope that sooner or later all four of us can actually be in one spot at the same time. So that's going to require Brent. Well, Brent does come down here, so we're going to have to arrange. So we'll have to arrange a time that we all get together and do some stuff. Guys, we're going to get the heck out of here.
All right.
Jake, I know that you have to go help Anna with the baby. Doug, been doing some other things. Brent's going to go and help continue Conquer the World. I'm going to go deal with the crazy world of real estate, but we got some great signs that the interest rates are falling. So here comes another frenzy. We've been telling you about it for a long time, that prices are not going to drop, and now interest rates are going, and now I'm starting to get phone calls again. So get prepared for multiple offers if you're in real estate or looking at real estate. And if you are going to pull the trigger, let's do it now so we don't have to compete to get anybody else. But anyways, guys, have a happy Thursday. Continue to go out there, as Brent always says.
Make a damn difference.
It'll make a damn difference.
All right.
Guys, stay safe out there. Go in and change somebody's life. But most of all, have a great day, and God bless. We love you guys, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.